This case has seen better days. Varnish is fading, starting to come off. So I'll have to do a little bit to try and tidy that up. It won't be a total strip down. It's just going to be a consolidation and stop it getting any worse. So that's the case. Now, what is inside there? That's the next question. Well, it has a key. Does it work? Oh yeah, it works. Now, you ready? Oh, no, it doesn't work. There you go. Yeah, check that out. Yeah, check that out. It's a 128. It's not a 28. Whoa, what's the difference, I hear you ask? Well, the 128 has an automatic automatic tension release, so it doesn't have the little button underneath. And it has the higher set bobbin winder. And if you look inside, oh, if we can open it, oh, we'll have to see if we can fix that. No, there's no shuttle in there. So if you look on the inside, you can see it has a different shaped shuttle carrier with a little button there that you push down to pop the shuttle up. Also, I think some of them, although I'm not sure if this is the 128 or just a later 28, has a slightly different feed dog. So there you go, that is a 128. And what needs doing on that? So the shellac is pretty much gone, and what's left is flaky. So I think that might be a remove what's left of the shellac and then put a clear coat on there to protect it. And then just a service. I'm told this machine works, so it's just a service and a tidy up. Oh, there's the bobbin and the shuttle. So Singer 28 shuttle, slightly different. The 128 has these little grooves cut here, and that lightens it so it can go a little bit faster without vibrating. Also, it doesn't have, the 28 has a little notch cut out here on the nose, whereas the 128 has this little shape in the back. So slightly different, and they don't work in the other version. So this is going to be a quick strip down, get it ready for coating, and then the service will happen as she goes back together. Unless I find anything seized in the meantime, but I don't think there is. It moves quite freely. Okay, let's get started. So here's the difference between the 28 and the 128. It's this piece here. So when that lift is lifted with the foot, you can see the movement. It pushes a little rod. See if I can work it with a screwdriver. Pushes this little rod, and that lifts the spring off the tensioner. So that's what gives you your automatic tension release. So that is the main difference between the 28 and the 128. cleaned and masked up, ready for coating. The noise you can hear in the background, that's my heater trying to warm this place up so that the paint will go off. Maybe one day I'll actually have central heating. So I always like to start with the back. And work on these bits underneath it so they don't end up getting missed later. Sadly, I can't do anything about the silvered decals. There's the colour has already gone from them, and the colour that's left. Problem is the colour sticks to the underside of the shellac, so when the shellac comes off, it takes the colour with it, and then it just leaves the foil backing that the decals are made of. So when you strip it down, you have to leave the shellac on top of where the coloured decals are, and just try to kind of gently clean the loose flakes off the surface but leave the colour. So it's quite tricky. But that's the first coat on, so now we'll let that start to go off, and then we'll get another coat on in about, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, just before it gets too dry. And this is not a total repaint, it's just a cover up of the existing surface. So a couple of coats will probably be enough. Winding a bobbin on a 128. We're going with red for the bobbin. Sit it on a spool pin round here onto that little guide there. Take the bobbin, and then we want to sit the thread on the end and then squash it with the bobbin. Lift that out, and that's it now in place. Thread goes over that little guide, into that guide, and then we take up the slack. on the spool. Undo the stop motion to free the clutch, and then we push the bobbin winder against the wheel, and now we should be able to wind a bobbin. There she goes. See the cam will guide the thread very nicely. I think this is probably the best bobbin winder design that has come out. It's simple, works very well. Now, if you have a situation where you find that your bobbin winds slightly more to one side than it does to the other, it might be a slight bend at this point. And what you can do is, if gently, just grip the top of that, hold the bottom with your thumb, and just give it a little tweak. And that should just adjust it a little bit. There you go, and that is working nicely. So that's winding a bobbin on a 128. Same for the later 28 has the high bobbin winder like this one. The early 28, the bobbin winder is down here, but it's the same process. The 27 is also the same. And many of your other vibrating shuttles will have a similar bobbin winder. Okay, let's get the bobbin out. To get it out, we just pull that, bobbin comes out, and then we want to locate the little tail, and we want to snip that off so it doesn't get trapped. Now we take the shuttle. This is a 128 shuttle. You can tell because it has these cutouts. The cutouts, I believe, are about reducing weight, so it made the whole shuttle a little bit less heavy and therefore reduced the effect of vibration. So we need the thread coming off the side of the bobbin towards you. So if you like, the front of the bobbin and off to the right. Drop the bobbin into the shuttle, put your finger on the top to hold it, then take hold of the thread. We're going to pull the thread down right to the bottom and keep it tight, and then pull it back up, and that will locate it over the tooth, and then we pull it all the way up and it should click underneath that little bit of spring, and that's it now in. And then we should be able to just hold the weight of the bobbin on the thread. If it drops, there's not enough tension. If it's too tight and holds it really, really well, then there's probably too much tension. So to adjust the tension, we can take a quarter of a turn off that screw. See what happens now. Still holding. Take another quarter of a turn off that screw. Still holding. And I can feel there's a little bit less tension in there now. Take another little bit off. There you go. So that is not enough tension. If it drops, if it won't hold its weight, it's not enough tension. So we now tighten it up. So I'll give it half a turn. Still a little bit loose, so I'll give it another quarter of a turn. There, now I can feel I've just got a little bit of tension and no more. So that's how you set the tension in your shuttle. Now that's only going to work if underneath that spring, underneath this spring is clean, and if the screw is working. So if that screw is being tightened up, or if there's any rubbish under there, that's not going to work, and you'd need to clean that out. So that's our bobbin set. Fitting the bobbin, relatively simple. Open the cover, make sure that the stop motion is tight, turn the hand wheel until the shuttle carrier comes to the front, and then take the bobbin and we're going to pop it in nose first. So it drops in like that, and then just drop it into place, and then just leave the thread at the back. There's a little bit of red felt there. That's a wick. So this is where we just put a drop of oil when we're doing oiling, and that drop of oil there just touches on the front of the shuttle as it goes backwards and forwards. So we can pop a little drop of oil on there. It's also worth sometimes just run a little bit of oil in there. To get the shuttle out of there, you put your finger in this hole, bring it right to the front, put your finger in this hole, and it lifts the bobbin up and allows you to get your finger underneath and lift it out. There you go. That is fitting and removing the shuttle. So this is a 128. The 28 is pretty much the same. Also the 27. Threading. I really want to go with the red in this machine, but I've already put a red in the bobbin. So I can't put a red in both, otherwise I'm not going to see the difference. So I'm going to go with this lovely rich maroon. I think that one will do it. It kind of is a red, but it's different enough I'll be able to see the stitches. So, spool pin onto the thread guide, around the tensioner, and if we lift our foot on the 128, it will part the discs, so we can easily get the thread into the discs. We then need to make sure that we come over the little stop and into the little loop on the spring. Then it's through the eye in the take-up arm, into the thread guide here, into the thread guide on the top of the needle, through the needle, left to right. Now if you're ever not sure about which way to thread your needle, have a look where the hook is in the machine, because the needle will always thread towards the hook, or in this case towards the shuttle, as it's a vibrating shuttle. So that should be a reminder for you. If you saw my video on the transverse shuttle machines, we looked at how the machine creates the loop and how the shuttle picks it up. So we're going to try to do the same here. So if I hold that top thread and we turn the machine, we can see there's the needle at the bottom, and as it lifts it creates that loop. There you go, the tip of the hook has gone into the loop, tip of the shuttle, sorry, and there is the thread going past the shuttle, and it's now created our first stitch, and now we can pull the thread up to the top. Pull that thread in. So, see that again? So the shuttle now goes back, needle comes down. The needle on this machine does a little double dip, so it comes up, creates the loop, shuttle picks up the loop, needle goes down just a little bit to give it some slack, and then the loop is pulled over the shuttle and then tightens up at the back as the take-up arm pulls it up. So there's our stitch cycle for a vibrating shuttle machine. And again, these machines work very well. They're very simple. The reason they kind of died in their popularity ultimately was to do with vibration. All of that metal moving side to side as it speeds up creates a lot of vibration, and ultimately that was the limiting factor for the use of the machine. It can only go as fast as that will let it. Okay, let's get some fabric in there. Drop the foot. Get rid of those little tails. What a lovely noise this machine has. And there you can see each stitch getting made as the shuttle comes past it, and then when the shuttle reaches the end of its run, it just approaches the end of this wick, and that puts a little dot of oil on the end of the shuttle. That just sounds beautiful. Again, there's no reverse on this, so if you're working it, you need to back tack it. Look at that, perfect stitch. Okay, so we've set up, so this is 3 layers of this canvas, so as if we were sewing a hem. And it hasn't even noticed. There you go, you can still see each thread as it picks up and slips over that shuttle. That's about as fast as you can go on this because it just starts to vibrate. Perfect stitches, just lovely. This is a very lovely design and a lovely machine. Now watch the tensioner as I lift the foot. See that? So that's your automatic tension release, which means that you can pull the fabric out. So she's had a clear coat over her body to protect what's left of the decals, which are still very nice. She's also had her wooden base stripped back, re-glued in some places where she was coming loose, and then re-varnished. So a complete new set of clothes for this lady, and she looks the better for it. Hope you've enjoyed that video. Like and subscribe. if you want to see some more of my machine restoration.